It is amazing. When she started in 2019, she had a negative net worth. Her personal household net worth has gone from negative to $30 million, and her husband's Rose Lake Capital firm, a consulting firm, has gone from just dollars up to $25 million in value.
Yes. So what's interesting, you have her husband, Wynette, who started Rose Lake Capital, to your point. So Rose Lake Capital, you noted $42 and then skyrocketed to millions within a year.
From a negative bank balance to $30 million. That is the number everyone is talking about today. It is a financial trajectory that has former President Donald Trump demanding answers and the House Oversight Committee launching a probe. How does a politician's net worth skyrocket like that in just a few years? We are going to look at the documents, the winery, and the investigation right now. Good evening. We have a story tonight that is fundamentally about numbers. It is about the math of public service versus the math of private accumulation. Usually these two things operate in different universes. You have the salary of a public servant, which is public record. It is a fixed amount. It is steady. It is transparent. And then you have the world of high finance, of massive capital gains, of multi-million-dollar windfalls. Rarely do those two lines on the graph cross in a way that makes your jaw drop. But tonight we are looking at a case where the lines didn't just cross, they went vertical. We are talking about a major development involving Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. This is a story that has moved from the whispers of political circles right into the center of a formal demand for an investigation by former President Donald Trump.
Can you tell us what your response is to the Oversight Committee launching an investigation into your net worth, you and your husband's net worth? They're claiming that it's risen rapidly.
Let's start with the baseline. This is the part that has investigators and observers scratching their heads. We are looking at a claim regarding a financial transformation that is almost hard to comprehend. According to reports being discussed on Fox News, when Congresswoman Omar started her tenure back in 2019, the financial picture was very different. At that time, reports indicate she had a negative net worth. Negative. That means owing more than you own. That is a position many Americans can understand. It is a position of financial struggle or debt. That was 2019. Now, fast forward to the present day. We are not talking about a decade later. We are talking about a span of just a few years. The claim currently under scrutiny by the House Oversight Committee is that her net worth, combined with her husband's, has risen rapidly. And when we say rapidly, we are talking about a figure that has allegedly hit $30 million. From negative to 30 million. This is the central point of contention. This is the spark that has lit a political firestorm. The House Oversight Committee is launching an investigation into the specific accumulation of wealth.
So in 2024, Biden's FBI raised questions about this skyrocketing wealth, some of these business decisions, and even Wall Street experts say, why is a former political consultant, that's what Wynette was, running a massive financial firm that, by the way, we've never heard of?
They want to know the mechanics of it, they want to know the how, and they are not the only ones asking. This development has caught the direct attention of Donald Trump. The former president took to his platform, Truth Social, to address this directly. He did not mince words. He laid out the number himself. He wrote, quote, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is worth over 30 million.
There is no way such wealth could have been accumulated legally while being paid the salary of a politician.
But he didn't stop at just citing the number. He went on to question the legality of it. In his post, he stated that there is no way such wealth could have been accumulated legally while being paid the salary of a politician. That is the core of his argument. The math, according to the former president, simply does not add up if you look at the paycheck of a member of Congress.
This needs to be investigated. She was right at the center of the Somali fraudster operation called Feeding Our Future, the $250 million fraud case, largest pandemic fraud case in the country. Those are her people, and they're the ones that donated to her campaign. So
he was very clear about what should happen next. He said that if she should be investigated for financial and political crimes, that investigation needs to start right now. So you have the former president of the United States demanding an immediate inquiry. You have the House Oversight Committee stepping in, and you have this massive unexplained number hanging over the entire situation. But where is this money supposedly coming from? This is where the story gets much more detailed and, quite frankly, much more complex. It isn't just about a salary. It involves a web of business interests that have sprung up alongside her political career. We need to talk about the husband. We need to talk about a firm called Rose Lake Capital. According to the details emerging from these reports, Ilhan Omar's husband started this consulting firm, and the growth trajectory of this firm mirrors the explosion in their personal wealth. We are told that the value of this firm, Rose Lake Capital, went from a nominal amount, figures as low as $42, and skyrocketed into the millions within a single year. Think about that for a second. A jump from $42 to millions in 12 months. By the time we look at the current valuation being discussed, the firm is allegedly valued at up to $25 million. This is a massive financial firm now. But here is the catch. Wall Street experts are apparently baffled by it. The reporting suggests that experts on Wall Street are asking a very simple question. Why is a former political consultant running a massive financial firm that we have never heard of? If you are in the world of high finance, if you are trading at that level, people usually know who you are. The institutions know the players. Yet, here we have a firm that seemingly appeared out of nowhere, run by a political consultant, suddenly valued in the tens of millions. And this brings us to a very significant piece of information. It is not just Republicans asking these questions. It is not just Donald Trump. According to the reports we are analyzing, this situation caught the attention of the FBI. And specifically, the reporting emphasizes that this was not under a Trump administration. This was under the Biden administration. In 2024, it is reported that Biden's FBI raised questions about this skyrocketing wealth. They were looking at the business decisions. They were looking at the speed of the accumulation. When you have federal agencies raising eyebrows at the same time as political opponents, the situation takes on a different weight. So we have the firm. But that is not the only asset drawing attention. There is also a winery. Yes, a winery in California. The reports indicate that the couple has a winery in California that has experienced a similar explosion in value. It fits the pattern, sudden, massive growth. And in a detail that feels like it belongs in a movie script, it was noted during the broadcast that one of the wines produced there was actually called The Devil's Lie. You can imagine the commentary that generates. As Kayleigh McEnany noted during the discussion, sometimes people tell the truth in unexpected ways, and sometimes they don't. But the name certainly stands out. But let's get back to the hard politics of this. This is not just about a winery or a consulting firm. This is about the intersection of money and policy. Tom Emmer, the House Majority Whip, has weighed in on this heavily. He is looking at the broader context of where money was flowing in Minnesota. He points to a scandal that has been in the headlines before, but now he is connecting it to this narrative. He is talking about the Feeding Our Future fraud case. This was a massive story. It was characterized as the largest pandemic fraud case in the country, involving $250 million. Tom Emmer's argument is that Congresswoman Omar was right at the center of the operation regarding the people involved. He claims that the people behind this fraud, the fraudsters themselves, were her people, and that they were the ones who donated to her campaign. This is a serious accusation. He is linking the proceeds of a massive fraud case directly to the political ecosystem surrounding the Congresswoman. He states that this needs to be investigated and exposed. So now you see the full picture that is forming for the House Oversight Committee. It is not just one thing. It is the convergence of several high-stakes elements. You have the personal net worth jumping to $30 million. You have the husband's firm, Rose Lake Capital, going from almost nothing to $25 million. You have the questions from Wall Street about where this business came from. You have the alleged scrutiny from the FBI in 2024. And you have the connection to the Feeding Our Future pandemic fraud scandal. That is a lot of smoke. The question now is whether the investigation will find the fire. Jamie Comer and the Oversight Committee are the ones tasked with digging into this. They are the ones who have to request the documents, conduct the interviews, and follow the money. The political reality here is that Republicans control the House. They have the gavel. They have the subpoena power. As was noted in the discussion, Tom Emmer is the majority whip because the Republicans hold the majority. This means they have the ability to drive this investigation forward without obstruction from the minority party in the House. However, there is always a question of time. Investigations in Washington can move at a glacial pace. But the pressure here is urgent. The commentary from the analysts suggests a sense of a ticking clock, especially for Congress. There is a sense, described by the commentators, that the Congresswoman might be feeling the pressure. They pointed to her recent behavior, suggesting she has been saying crazy things about fraud in Minnesota and talking about ICE agents. The interpretation offered is that perhaps she realizes the walls are closing in, that maybe she realizes that these questions are not going away. The accusation is that this is her ticket, that she oversees this entire structure. And when we talk about the scale of the waste and fraud involved in these programs, the numbers are staggering. We mentioned the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future case, but the conversation also touched on a broader figure of $9 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse. The allegation is that a lot of this money touched on programs that Ilhan Omar brought to her state, that she brought the legislation, she brought the programs, and then the money went to people who were politically connected to her. That is the thread they are pulling on. What did she know? When did she know it? Why didn't she act? These are the classic questions of any political scandal, but now they are backed by the forensic accounting of a net worth investigation. The scrutiny is intense. You have independent journalists and producers watching hours of Somali TV, looking for clips, looking for statements from elected officials, trying to piece together the timeline of knowledge. They are trying to find the smoking gun that links the policy decisions to the financial outcomes. So where do we go from here? The investigation is launched. Donald Trump has put his marker down, demanding that this happens now. The House Oversight Committee is engaged. The narrative of the skyrocketing wealth is out in the public domain. For the American public, the story is shocking because of the contrast. We are used to politicians being well off. We are used to them writing books or giving speeches, but a jump from negative net worth to $30 million in the span of a single political cycle, that is a disruption of the norm. That is the kind of anomaly that demands an explanation. If the explanation is legitimate business success, then the documents will show that. If the explanation is something else, as former President Trump alleges, then the consequences could be severe. As we watch this unfold, remember the key entities involved: Rose Lake Capital, the winery, and the Feeding Our Future program. These are the three pillars of this investigation. We will be watching the House Oversight Committee very closely in the coming weeks. We will see if they issue subpoenas. We will see if they call witnesses. And we will see if the FBI's reported interest in 2024 turns into formal action. Donald Trump asked if they will find anything. He asked what the response is to the claim that her net worth has risen astronomically. Those questions are now on the official record, and the answers, whatever they may be, will likely reshape the political landscape for Congresswoman Omar. We will keep following the money. Stay tuned.